Hey, everybody, let's listen to a minute to this guy. And I don't know how to say his name. I'm going to say it's maybe Ryo Fukui. I'm just going to call him RF for now. But I've done several songs from this album, and I had a request to do It Could Happen to You. And I've done several videos, I believe, on this song in the past, but let's do it again. And I listened to his whole recording, and several things jumped out at me. One, he doesn't play in a really harmonically advanced style. Like he keeps the chords kind of basic, instead of going up to the minor 7 flat 5 and then the 6th chord, he just goes right to the 6th chord and does the same thing here. Doesn't put the A minor 7 in, just goes right to the D7. And he's not afraid to use the whole piano. So it's a simple introduction in some ways, but I think from what I've read about him, he's kind of a self-taught piano player, but he had a really big following, and I think the reason for his success is there's just so much joy in his playing. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Oscar Peterson in a way, because it's just got that drive and that really uplifting feeling, a feeling of joy. So most of his chords are played down here. This is a good guy to listen to because he's not going out all over the place and just doing a bunch of crazy things. He's just playing, within the changes and in a very strong rhythmic style. So it's a good person to emulate. So I heard him just use a couple of motives. He went something like, and then it came up here. Not exact notes, of course, but having an idea and running with it for a little while. You don't have to hang on it too long, but just having a good idea and then, repeating yourself, basically. Plays a line like... It almost sounds like he's coming down with two hands and playing some of the chords that he's comping. But I believe it's just one hand, but it just sounds so full. And maybe he is. I don't know. We'll find a spot. Yeah. I'm not sure if the original chart, I'd have to look back at it to make sure, but he goes to an A flat minor, or I think most people go to an A flat major 7th. So is that it? Yeah. Using the bebop scale there, right? Because you're in E flat, and there's the 5th, there's the 6th. That's the note you put in between. he's got some good ideas. Take an idea, run with it. And something else I noticed about this recording, there's no bass solo, and the drums, no matter how exciting it gets, he stays on the snare drum, doesn't go to the ride cymbal. And these are two things I always enjoyed about Oscar Peterson's trio, was that, they went to the ride cymbal sometimes, but that drummer would stay on the snare drum for quite a while. I wonder why drummers are so prone to go to the cymbal, because once you're on the cymbal, it's ding, ding, da, ding, ding, da, ding, 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 but on the snare drum, you can put so much extra stuff in there. You can be listening to, the soloist and then, supporting or imitating a little bit of what they're doing. As far as no bass solo goes, it depends on who your bass player is. And, how much they want to take a solo. I worked with a guy for a long time that never wanted to take a solo, and so that was our standard thing. We would, do a piano solo, maybe trade fours a little bit with the drummer, and that was it. If you can simplify the original chord progression, get it down to the basics, then, you can be more creative with what you're playing. Add interesting, melodic ideas and things if you're not worried about keeping up with, a million changes. All right, the C7, almost always played as a sharp 9 there. Yeah, and while you're playing the head of the song, it's perfectly acceptable to, start soloing a little bit, but just not for very long. Just get back to the melody. I think really what he does is goes back to the E flat there. Instead of going through the G flat 13, the C flat, just goes back to E flat. And then like that. So that's certainly simplifying the chord progression. Here it is. So that's the third time I've heard him use something like that, and that's the E flat scale with the bebop scale, which has between the 5th and the 6th, put an extra note. So if you're worried about fingering, just use 4, cross with 4, do 4 again. Now we're going up. So good exercise because you work all 4 fingers. It really hits and jabs those left-hand chords so hard, really, that it almost sounds like he's using 2 hands down there. And maybe he does once in a while, but not too often. Another great thing about this song is there's no bass solo. It's not that I don't like bass solos, but a little goes a long way. Let's just put it like that. Unless you're Jocko or somebody, a lot of bass solos are pretty forgettable. I think most people don't become bass players because they're, dreaming about taking great solos. They like to be the bottom and the bottom end, and it's fun to play the bass for sure. So I'd like to cover a couple of reharmonizations, one that I came up with, and one from the Keith Jarrett arrangement here. So let me go through them real quick. First, let's do the Keith Jarrett thing here. Something like that, but he's in the key of G, so it's, I'm not sure if that's exactly right. Now, you'd expect to go back to the 1 chord here, but Keith goes to the 3 chord, which of course is a substitute for the 1 chord. Almost all exactly the same notes, practically. And then, just, think of a song like Stella by Starlight, that jumps up a minor third to do a 2-5-1. That's what he does. He goes, and uses a suspended chord, then resolving both the 9 down to the flat 9, and the 3 down to the 4 down to the 3. And a suspended chord, resolving in 2 places. So this relieves some tension, but this adds some tension. So and let me think, what's the other spot? Keith loves those 11th chords. That's what I call them, but it's a suspended chord. And, you know, he's doing the backdoor approach to E flat. You know, like an A flat, A flat minor to D flat 7th, and that goes to there. But instead of just D flat 7th, he's got the suspended version of it. All right, now my reharm does not support the melody, but it's fun to do when you're improvising, and it kind of could support the melody. Let's see if we can get into it. So a real typical thing is go. Right, where you just up a half step, and then here. But I went one step further. I preceded it with this, a 2-5, and then changed that to a 2. And then, so, you know, could you cram that melody in over it? Yeah, if you alter the melody a little bit, I think it kind of works. Yeah, I think it'll work. You have to mess around with the melody a little bit. So I have a sheet here that's got a lot of rootless voicings in it, and of course that's what RF is using mostly when he's improvising. Got a lot of sharp 9 chords like that. You know, some of the typical kind of stuff. But it all depends harmonically on where you want to go. Like, you know, a sharp 9 chord sounds pretty good there. Another sharp 9 really sounds good there. But what about that first one? Maybe you don't want a sharp 9. You know, just like a little diminished. And there, you know, you went with the sharp 9, but you put a note there that really doesn't quite fit, but that's okay. So there was a D minor 7 flat 5 and a G altered. Could do it this way, or even this way. Now there, on an unaltered F7th chord, you probably don't want to go. Well, you know, it doesn't support the melody, but if you're improvising, another chart too here that just gives you some pentatonic voices and also some rootless voicings to play along with them. Like for instance, E flat major, you can use a B flat penta, you can use an F, Gives you a little more colorful sound, or just the E flat. And put that little passing tone in there into your pentatonic scale. It sounds a little like the bebop scale. C altered. We got an altered chord. Think a tritone away. Do that pentatonic. F minor. You can, if you think of minor pentatonics, but it's really an A flat pentatonic, because when I talk about a pentatonic, I talk about the original form, which is like 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6. All right. If you do a different mode of it, you get the minor pentatonic, like A minor. But I'm just always going to refer to the basic one. All right. So where was I? I was on like A flat here. So E flat would be good, or A flat, or even B flat. And since this is a major seventh that's not in the key of the song, using the Lydian mode is nice. So the B flat pentatonic has that Lydian note in it. G minor 7, the E flat pentatonic is good. There's several pentatonics you can use here, but I just wrote the E flat. But you can always change it to a dominant chord, because I think original song's got a G7 in there. All right, and then once you alter it, then you go a tritone away. Study guides are down there in the description. Just click on the link. You don't have to put your email in or anything like that. Just click on it, and you don't even have to be a member of YouTube or Google or anything. Just click on the link, and you will get the PDFs. Just download them or look at them, whatever you want to do.